I was just gonna say, if you could
Hmm.
take every nomination right now,
Okay.
take out one name and insert one name. Who do you
From
think who
this whole year?
yeah, like who got
Oh
snubbed?
God.
Like you're giving them a nomination. You have the ability to give an
Okay, well,
Oscar
Javier
nomination.
Bardem. No, it's between Javier Bardem and J.K. Simmons. One of those two has got to go.
Okay.
Oh God, I think I would get rid of J.K. Simmons just because like he's barely registers in that movie at all. So who would I slide in for best supporting actor is a good question. Who didn't get nominated?
Yeah, I guess that's how it would be if we're you take one out of that category, you slide one in. Sure.
Yeah, I just like I think J.K. Simmons has got to go. Like Javier Bardem is bad in that movie. I don't like him in that movie, but Simmons, it's just like it's a crazy waste of like a nomination. I'll bet you J.K. Simmons saw that was like, wait, I was in Being the Ricardos. He's so barely in it. So yeah, let's get rid of J.K. Simmons, and I would slot in for best supporting actor. It's between Bradley Cooper and Licorice Pizza and Ben Affleck in The Last Duel, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely liked Ben Affleck in The Last Duel. I thought he
Yeah,
fucking stole some scenes in that movie.
he fucking rules in that movie.
Well, I mean, everyone did pretty damn good in that movie, honestly.
Yeah, good movie that we will eventually talk about. Why? Because season 4 is starting, and we are covering the films of motherfucking Ridley Scott.
Season 4.
I can't believe we're finally here.
Yeah, we're finally here. Very excited. Ridley Scott, to me, is kind of the man. Well, he's up there.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So very
Boy, oh
excited.
boy. Boy, oh boy, am I excited to go on this journey. I chose this director because I have not seen many of his movies. So this is going to be a lot of first times for me. And that'll be a first for the podcast because every director we've covered before this, I had already seen all their movies.
Yes, you are a bit of an animal.
I'm a bit of an animal. I'm a monster. So Ridley Scott, what to say? I guess here's what I'm thinking about for this season. This is going to be an education for me. I don't know much about Ridley Scott. I don't know many of his movies. I've seen probably out of his, close to 30 movies. I've seen probably 10, maybe.
Okay.
So this is going to be a lot of first time views for me. And I'm excited to sort of figure out who Ridley Scott is as a director. Because I have an opinion of him. I have I have my own perception of what kind of director he is. And I don't know if I'm missing the mark or not.
Well, I mean, I'd probably agree with you for the amount of movies that I've seen of his. Maybe a little
Okay.
more, maybe two or three more.
He's just
Um,
made so many.
yeah, it is a pretty large filmography. I also have so it's going to be fun seeing what his style is. I'll tell you what, after watching his very first movie, and I kind of want to talk to you about, he's our fourth director. This is
Yep.
season 4. I want to talk about all four of their debuts. I want to kind of keep track of their debuts
Yeah,
and
I
see if
love a
they,
debut.
yeah, because I want to see if the style or how we perceive their style to be going into it, kind of if we can identify it right
Yes.
off the bat with their debut.
There's stuff in this movie that I want to talk about that pertains to like my view of Ridley Scott movies anyway. So like,
Can you already see it a little bit?
yes, yeah, there's stuff in this movie that I'm
I
kind
can
of
see
like,
too.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
So
wow, that's
yeah.
Ridley Scott if
So
I've ever seen Ridley
here's
Scott.
here's my
So
here's my perception of Ridley Scott, having only seen like, a handful of his movies. To me, he is a massive blockbuster filmmaker. Obviously, right? You could lump him in with Spielberg, Scorsese, these big guys who make
a
these
lot
huge
of
movies.
money, a lot of
Franchises.
sales, a lot of butts and seats
Yes. So,
over his long career.
but here's the difference between Scott and like the other guys I just mentioned, Spielberg, Scorsese, Coppola, you can throw him in. Ridley Scott to me seems a little bit less specific in his style in that he's maybe a little bit more flexible than the other guys. And like, not to say that Spielberg isn't flexible. He's fucking Steven Spielberg. But when I see a Steven Spielberg movie, I can see it. I look at it and I go, yep, that looks like a fucking Steven Spielberg movie. He's hitting all the Steven Spielberg marks. Scott to me is a little bit more elusive, not in like a way where I'm like, oh, he's so challenging. He just seems to know, how do I want to put this? He seems to know the business of making movies, and he doesn't let his artistic vision butt up against like making money. He's just like, nope, we got to make a movie that makes money. And like, he's going to bring his fucking artistic vision. His movies look incredible. He has such dynamic, looking films, but none of his movies to me feel like one thing. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I do kind of understand what you're saying because he's not really pinned down. Like obviously he messes a lot with action. Like
He does
that's
action, he does sci-fi, he does
but even in
period
his
pieces.
yeah, even in those action movies, he still has like bits and pieces of humorous dialogue and
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
he's just not, Paul Thomas Anderson. He's got dialogue A plus every time, right?
sure.
Like I know that this guy is going to like break my brain with some crazy lines that I'm just like, oh my god, it's so good. Scott, like I don't feel that way. Like I like his movies a lot. Like I like he doesn't have shitty dialogue in his movies usually, but like that's never the forefront. It doesn't seem like anything is
So
ever the forefront
well,
for him.
check it out. So imagine all these different categories and whatnot, and you see, imagine a bar chart, if you will, and one of the categories is dialogue, and you see Paul Thomas Anderson, and that bar is all the way at the
Sure. Yeah.
that's maxed. I would imagine if you would put like landscapes or like cinematography, visuals. I think Ridley Scott is his bar is very high up there because he does always usually have visually stunning movies, and
I was
that I
gonna
can tell.
say, no, yeah, I think you just hit up on the one thing that I can attribute to Scott no matter what movie I'm watching. He is so good at atmosphere. Like it's not ever the same. He knows that every movie has its own kind of ecology that it needs to exist in. But he's so good at just like visually showing you a couple different, shots of like landscapes or with Alien, like the inside of the fucking ship is just like, it. You just know exactly what is going on in that ship just because like of how it looks. He's so good at atmosphere and he's so flexible with how he deploys it.
Like he'll like I feel like he'll get a frame of like a great shot, and it's like, oh wow, like a lot of directors be like, oh that's excellent, like that's
Mhm.
beautiful, and then he's be like, oh now I'll pull it back 50 feet,
Yeah,
like and that's like his mo in my opinion, and like I
I
said,
think that's a good call.
and that's ball, and I love that because I want to see more of it. It adds scope,
Yeah,
depth to what you're seeing. Like you see a lot
it's
of
all over
times,
this movie that we're talking about today, which we
like
have not named.
especially yeah later on, but like with Prometheus, you see these
Prometheus is such a good looking movie.
yeah,
Oh
I mean
my
that
god,
obviously I go right to one of his best looking ones, but
one of the best looking movies.
yeah,
That movie is
but
beautiful.
yeah, and for me, there's that shot of the ship like entering the atmosphere, and it's
Yeah,
like super far back. And you see like a mountain range and like landscape where
beautiful.
they're landing, and like fog, and there's elements and weather, and like yeah, it's beautiful. But
Um, so for this series, I bought a book, and I want to make sure that I cite the book up front because I'm probably going to be quoting a lot from it. But I bought this book, Ridley Scott Interviews. I think it's from a collection of books called Conversations with Filmmakers, where they do a whole book of archived interviews and put it all in context. The book is really good. It's edited by Lawrence F. Knapp and Andrea F. Koulis. Just want to credit those writers. The book is so well put together. There are interviews spanning all the way back to the Duellists. And I think this book gets us up to Matchstick Men. So for this first chunk of Ridley Scott, I'll be using this book for a lot of like quotes and just to figure out his mind, how he works.
love
This is
that,
a
love
first for us. I'm going to
yeah
start doing
that,
research. So
that's going to be a lot of fun getting into his mind. And actually that's kind of perfect. Matchstick Men is right around because this season will be broken up into two parts.
it'll be broke. It's too long for us to do all at once. I don't want to do 30 Ridley Scott movies in a row and get burnt out. So just starting off this season, we're gonna start today with the Duelists, his
19,
debut,
1977. I saw it was
77.
May.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we were gonna take it all the way up to Gladiator, where he wins Best Picture. It's a perfect
2000.
cutoff line. 2000. We're gonna do all of his
Perfect.
20th century movies. Cut it off at Gladiator. We'll do a couple other series to sort of, a little bit of a palate cleanser, and then we'll come back and finish him up with a much longer second part.
Sweet. So if you're new listening out there and you're just jumping in, Ridley Scott's the perfect director to start with us.
Yeah.
And here
No,
we
this is
go.
going to be really great. So just to dive into a little bit of early Ridley Scott before we get to the Duelist, I just did a little bit of reading on him. He was a British TV guy, worked a lot as like a designer who worked his way up to directing TV episodes for shit I've never fucking heard of because it's like British TV from the
Sure.
60s. Like, sorry, I don't know this stuff.
No, I did.
Um,
I was looking at his IMDb. I was like, oh, a lot of TV.
Yeah, a lot of TV before he broke out in his own. He starts his own production company called Ridley Scott Associates, I believe, which his brother Tony Scott, who is a fucking wonderful filmmaker who I would love to cover one day. But
We
his brother
probably
Tony
will one
Scott,
day.
I love Tony Scott so much. It is weird that that's the Scott that I'm like, I will devour everything he makes. And like Ridley Scott, I just haven't gotten to. And he's
I
way
mean,
more commercially successful.
yeah, Tony Scott, his filmography is pretty impressive too.
It
Like,
rules. Yeah.
so
So anyways, yeah, so he makes this production company, and he starts getting into the commercial game. He starts flying over to America to shoot commercials. He's doing TV back in Britain, trying to get you should get everything going. And I want to read a couple quotes from him just from his early days, because the one thing I have always known about Ridley Scott, especially this year, has been a delight for me seeing him do his press tour for The Last Duel and him just yelling at everyone. And just, he's such a dick. I love him. He's such a like hard-nosed British motherfucker. And like, he just, so I just want to read like a couple of quotes. This is just him talking about like, here's a quote from him that I love. I see beauty in everything. That sounds very California, doesn't it? But that's how it is. So he like immediately says something very nice, and he's just like, that sounds very Californian of me. Like he just takes the piss out of everything, including his own shit. I know he gets into film like when he's young, and like many a filmmaker, his the genesis of him wanting to make movies was he saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, which like
influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie, which we will definitely cover one day. Not
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Wonderful. It's perfect. It's great. So anyway, so he's doing all this TV shit, and this is the quote I wanted to read. This is him talking about essentially the like executives who are going to end up giving him money to make his first movie, and it's so good. He said he goes to them for money for this movie, and this is what he says. He said, they told me you really ought to go back and do a little bit more filmed TV. They kept telling me, which I felt I'd pushed through more celluloid in the previous 10 years than, say, Roman Polanski. It was a bit like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs. I knew they were wrong, these blue-suited assholes, but I figured if that's the name of the game, okay, I'll do some film TV.
Film TV.
These blue-suited assholes is such a good fucking line. He so hates the rich. It's so funny. So, yeah, and if anyone's been following his interviews this year for The Last Duel, it's been a fucking delight. He's such a prick.
Yeah, he has not been happy.
I don't think he's unhappy. I don't like he's not like unhappy. He's just like
it's just who he is at this point.
It's just like it's not like he's being interviewed. Like people are asking him to say these things. You know, it's not like he's going on a tirade. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so that's all basically I got for early Ridley Scott. He teams up with the screenwriter of this movie. They start adapting a screenplay for a Guy Fawkes adaptation, which ends up turning into, they too much money, whatever. They find this novella called The Duel. They adapt that. He writes the script, or his screenwriter writes the script. They shop it around. Everyone really likes the script. They get fucking Keitel and Carradine on board, and then they shoot it.
Just like that.
Just like that. I mean, like it seems like the shoot went pretty well. Like there wasn't any drama or anything like that. So
no, and I'm looking here. I think Rotten Tomatoes has a 92%. So
damn,
I mean, it is considered a pretty good movie.
He won. Yeah, this movie premiered at Cannes, and he won best debut film from the jury. So like, it played really well at Cannes.
Talk about coming out of the gate hot as your debut film.
Pretty good.
I mean, but you did mention that he did have experience with all the TV and whatnot. So, I mean,
yeah, he seems very pragmatic, like in his thinking. Like he's not like a. I'm trying to think of like a really poetic. He's not like you listen to people like M. Night Shyamalan talk, where they're very like, oh, I had this great idea for a movie, and oh yeah, this and that. Scott is always like, yeah, movies are a business. My responsibility is to make money, and like I will bring an artistic edge to it, but like I also understand that like I can't butt up against that. I need to make money. So like he's very pragmatic about the whole industry. It's very interesting.
Yeah, he's about churning it out.
Yeah, but he's also, I don't know, he's so efficient and so talented. Like it's cool.
Well, back to that analogy I used with the bar chart. Just imagine, every single category give it's all average. Give
Yep.
all those categories 1 or 2 points just to start. That's I feel
I
like
would say
that's
so.
he's naturally gifted with how like kind of how you're saying.
Yeah.
He can just make a film. You
Yep.
know, he does treat it like a business. Keith Carradine and
Okay,
Harvey
so
Keitel.
are we just going to jump into this thing now? I
Well,
guess I
let's
should
talk
do the
about Keith
intro. We should do
Carradine and
Lil
Harvey
Movies. We
Keitel.
haven't done anything right.
No,
Welcome to Film School Dropouts, everyone. This is a movie podcast in which each season we cover a director's full filmography, as long as it isn't Mick G. I'm back, baby. The axe is back. I'm back to killing people. Have I done Mick G already?
Mick G.
Mick G. I don't know. He did like Charlie's Angels and Terminator Salvation. And
Oh,
have I killed him off yet?
I think
I have a list of all of.
I think here's wanted to.
Here's all the directors I have. I remember putting the axe to. I wrote a list, so I'm going to keep track now. Robert Zemeckis, thank you.
No, stop.
Ron Howard, he's out.
Stop. No,
Zack Snyder, I don't agree to absolutely not.
I don't agree to any of these three.
Bryan Singer, Roman Polanski, Woody Allen, Brett Ratner. I remember there was one episode where I was like, no sex criminals. We're not doing those. Kevin Smith, that was you. You did Kevin Smith. So
I did take the axe to Kevin Smith.
You brought the axe
Kevin
back.
Smith fans out there.
I took season 3 off. You asked me, hey, stop killing all these directors. And then at the end of season 3, you were like, guess what I've got? A big axe. I was like, okay.
Well, yeah. I don't feel like watching Dogma,
And then finally, the Russo brothers. No, thank you. Not doing that shit.
See, I'm not agreeing with all this. I'll keep fighting, folks. I'll try to get these guys back. All those Zemeckis fans out there, I got you. I see you. We'll work on it.
Well, I'm adding Mick G to the graveyard. I'm going to bury him right now.
I definitely don't like that. I just watched Terminator Salvation the other day. I own that movie. So,
well, you can keep owning it and you can keep it. I don't want it. Welcome back. I'm welcoming the axe back. I'm putting it back on the rack. Here we go.
We should talk zero damage.
So, Mick G? I don't know. That's a crit hit right there. That's a crit. Fucking no one wants us to talk about the films of Mick G. Get out of here. Okay. We should do our little movie segment before we get into the body of this film.
We should. Tell me something you've seen.
Okay. So I'm actually really excited about this one.
Are you excited?
Not because it's good.
You look excited right now.
Not because it's bad, but because I am kind of fascinated by it.
Okay.
This movie came out in 2017. It stars Chadwick Boseman. It's called Marshall.
Oh, about Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall, correct. This is directed by Reginald Hudlin. This is a fucking insane. I just want to say, Marshall is an insane movie made by, I don't know, people who are on so many drugs, I think. Ostensibly, it's supposed to be a Thurgood Marshall biopic. On paper, it looks like, okay, you sit down, you're going to watch a movie telling you about the trials and tribulations of Thurgood Marshall as he, makes his way through civil rights activism and gets his first appointed slot on the Supreme Court. You're thinking, wow, this is going to be so educational. Absolutely not. Kick that shit right out the window. This is a Grisham thriller, baby. Back to the 90s. Trashy courtroom drama. Steamy sex scenes. This shit is trash. And I kind of am fascinated by it because if this weren't a Thurgood Marshall movie, it would be like pretty fucking good. It'd be like entertaining as fuck. It is entertaining as fuck. It's the exact kind of courtroom thriller that I love, where it's just like about one case. It's like, oh my God, the jury pool has been contaminated. Like all this shit, right? And you're just like, wait, this is a Thurgood Marshall movie? That would be like if they made a fucking Jackie Robinson movie and it was in the style of fucking Major League. Like, and it was just like, yeah, it's Major League starring Jackie Robinson. It's insane. Marshall is a crazy movie.
Curveball.
It is an absolute failure to the legacy of Thurgood Marshall. It is a terrible film about Thurgood Marshall. It is a great Grisham thriller from the fucking 90s, early 2000s. You could fucking program this in a film festival.
But is there a little boy in the movie where it's like, and his dad is like, or like the little boy looks up to Thurgood Marshall? And
no, I believe you're thinking of the Chadwick Boseman, Jackie Robinson biopic.
Oh, 42.
Yeah, I believe that's the movie you're thinking of.
You know what? I think you're right. Yep, that is 42.
No, Marshall's just fucking crazy.
Because he was James Brown also, Chadwick.
That's a good movie. Get On Up.
And now of the three.
Oh, Get On Up is the best.
Okay.
I don't like 42. I think it's fucking boring, and the entire movie is about how good of a white man Harrison Ford is, which is like, all right, you kind of missed the fucking bat on that one. And Marshall is just as egregious. The entire movie is about Thurgood Marshall coaching Josh Gad through a trial. It's not about Thurgood Marshall being a lawyer. It's about him coaching a white lawyer, to fucking save the day. It's an absolute failure of a fucking biopic. You could program it right next to the fucking client and the firm, and it would be like a great film festival.
That sounds like a good 90s.
I don't know. If you're looking for like a good time, watch Marshall. If you're looking to be educated on Black history, just don't watch Marshall.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. What's your movie?
My little movie is I mentioned it quite a while ago that I was excited for it. I've just been fiending, cracked out on it, just super cracked. It's Scream.
Scream, baby.
Yeah. Scream 2022.
This is your shit.
Yeah, this is. For literally the last 3 weeks, I just cannot get enough Scream. Literally going back, watching all of them again, every single thing. Just I can't get enough.
Yeah,
this is
how I was after Resurrections came out, where I was like,
yeah.
I guess all I'm doing is watching The Matrix every day. So I understand. I understand the fever that you're going through.
Just I'm watching like in podcast interviews,
everything
from about the old movies, and just cannot, just super fanatic. I loved it. Out of the Screams, I thought it was the third best one behind.
That's not bad.
And honestly, there's parts where oh man, it subverts expectations in the best way.
I've heard it's good.
It's such a great entry into the franchise. There are some, like, I know there's going to be some people out there that specifically one thing that happens a couple times where you're like, it's like, that's not, that's a little cringy. That's not the direction I want.
Okay.
But everything else I thought it was great. I had a great time. Once again, I'm 0 for 5 with guessing the killers. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm having too good of a time enjoying the ride.
I anytime I watch a whodunit, which is essentially what Scream is, right?
Yeah.
I never guess. I just never even bother guessing. I'm always just like, it's gonna be what it is, man. I'm not even gonna try, because they always trick me.
Yeah, I that's my favorite thing, is getting it wrong.
Okay, getting wrong.
Yeah, no, because
it is kind of hype when you get it wrong, right? Because you're like, oh, I didn't see it coming, when it actually gets revealed.
Because if you get it right, it's like, oh,
right. Oh,
I guess
better
a lot
at writing.
Of people have gotten it right with this one, which sucks. But oh well, like, chill out. Don't try to guess so hard. Just lose yourself in I don't know, but it was a lot of fun. That's the beauty of Scream, because it started in '96, and not only is it led to a host of copycat movies from like 90s, not all the way through like the early mid 2000s. It's just a billion of them. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm not going to go through them all, but it was a plethora. It was
wasn't Halloween H2O kind of doing the same vibe too? It was like it
was one of them that Scream did.
Yeah.
There is. I'm telling you, I've looked at a list, and it's massive. Scream was a landmark movie where it's first time these characters knew about other horror movies, so they weren't stupid, and it was so a lot of fun. The cast was perfect, the first one. And with this new one, they're kind of bringing in a new cast of characters, but because it's it's a quote unquote requel, the legacy characters are there, and it's just a lot of fun. And that's all I'm gonna say. Go check it out. And go see it in theaters, because I think right now it's doing well for the year. But I'm a horror guy. And
go see everything in theaters, folks.
Yeah, the beauty of Scream. Well, the beauty of Scream, not only is it a slasher, but it is a whodunit, and everyone loves good murder mystery.
So, love it. Boom. All right, you ready to go back to 19th century France and just keep dueling? You ready to keep dueling?
Yeah, let's start dueling.
The duelist demands satisfaction. Honor for him is an appetite, an obsession to kill. No apology is accepted, no quarter given. Only death will satisfy honor.
You have insulted me!
I have strained my patience in order not to do so.
But I demand an apology.
Strife without reason, a quarrel pursued for its own sake.
Pharaoh intends to kill you.
Gentlemen, prepare to advance.
The Duelists. There's two of them. These boys can't stop dueling.
So before we even talk about the movie, let's talk about the two leads, because pretty much it is.
It's a two-hander.
It's these two guys.
You get one dynamite
Albert
scene from
Finney
Albert Finney.
That's it.
That's it.
If you want to talk about that, Albert Finney's sweet. Usually he's awesome.
I would love to talk about Albert
as soon
Finney.
as
I always like talking about Albert Finney.
As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, oh, well, hello.
Okay, interesting. Because I knew Albert Finney was in the movie. I had my eyes peeled. I'm waiting for Finney. I love a sousant of Finney. And I am looking. He finally shows up and I'm like, is that Finney? Because he looks so like, he doesn't look like the Finney that I know. It's a great performance. Anyways, let's talk about Harvey Keitel and Keith Carradine.
Well, yeah, no, last thing about Finney is I heard him before I saw him.
Yes, yeah.
That's like that.
He's got one of the most distinctive voices.
Oh, for sure. Just a boom. Just like
I've been thirsty my whole life.
Born with a microphone in his throat.
He's so good.
So yeah, Harvey Keitel, Keith Carradine. What do you think about? Let's talk about your boy Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, I love I texted you. I'm just a sucker for Harvey Keitel. He can be bad in a movie, and I'm like, yeah, but it's Harvey Keitel. You know, he's just like this stocky little bulldog who just kind of trounces around the place, no matter what movie he's in, whether it be The Duelists, which takes place between the years 1800 and 1815 in France, or The Piano, which takes place later that century in fucking New Zealand, or Pulp Fiction. Modern day. Doesn't matter what movie he's in. He's always going to sound like he's from fucking Brooklyn, baby. It never breaks the movie.
He's rocking the power mustache too.
He's
like
so
just
good. Like as soon as he starts talking in this movie, and he's just like, "Hey, we gotta duel. You and me, we're gonna duel each other." And I'm like, he's not even trying to fucking put an accent on. I love this. It's so funny.
Yeah,
somehow it never like
France, and obviously that no one is French, and they're not even trying to.
If Keith Carradine or Harvey Keitel attempted a French accent, it would be fucking disastrous.
I know. I'm not saying they should.
No, they shouldn't. Yeah.
No, you cast what you get, but I do.
Yeah, fucking Keitel plays Judas in The Last Temptation of Christ, and he's like, Jesus, we got to go up to the hill over there. What's he doing? Oh God, it's so good. I love him so much. I love Harvey Keitel. He has like what is it I love about Harvey Keitel?
He's shooting up your list pretty hard right now.
He's just like one of the most dependable guys for me. Where like he can show up for 5 minutes, or he can be the lead of the movie, and I'm gonna enjoy what he's given me. He's so like rugged, and like I said, he has that sort of stocky demeanor to him that I love. And in this movie, the swag is off the fucking charts. I think this guy's got a latitude.
It's a latitude. I really dug what he was going for in this movie.
Love it
because
it worked. It worked for me.
He's like this. He's angry throughout the whole movie.
He is. If Matt Damon from The Last Duel actually did more than just sue people, like he has that same like male hubris where he gets offended by every little thing, and he always has to take it to 10, but he actually like backs it up by being really good at fighting with swords.
Oh, yeah, Matt Damon. That character, he was willing to talk. In this movie, Harvey Keitel, you couldn't talk to this guy. This guy was seething. He was
forget about it.
He was borderline raged out the whole movie.
The movie opens with him in the middle of a duel. Like the movie opens with Harvey Keitel fighting some unnamed guy,
Well, check that. It opens with 3 scenes of sheep being herded.
Okay, sure. It technically opens with like
This
a
is,
girl
this is
walking down
the
a
first
path
thing I'm
with a bunch
seeing
of
from Ridley
ducks.
Scott. Yeah, was it ducks or sheep or something?
Yeah, some shit like that. But yeah, I mean, the opening scene, I don't want to get into like the movie yet. I want to talk about Keith Carradine, but like, yeah, the opening scene is Keitel in a duel, and he fucking first of all, the fight scene is incredible. Like the actual duel in the beginning is absolutely like thrilling.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Keith Carradine. But I will say my first note is slick sword fight, exclamation point.
So good. It's so
very
good,
slick.
This fight.
Choreography. I'm like, wow, this is,
yes.
I'm having a great time. Like,
yeah,
I was literally caught off guard by right off the bat. Ridley Scott is just throwing this very well fought out sword fight. It's, these are full on swords, and throughout the whole fight, I believe he's a bald gentleman. It's the mayor's son, whoever Harvey Keitel is fighting, but he looks kind of panicked. Like the whole thing, he's just like.
That's the thing is Keitel is so in control in this first scene because like the other guy, you can tell he's like, okay, I'm in a sword fight. Like I got to take this serious. Keitel is a fucking snake. Like he is just perfect form, no emotion on his face. The fight is thrilling, and he absolutely like walks circles around this guy. The key part of this, which like it's such good storytelling. And it's so quick and efficient to tell you exactly who Harvey Keitel is. As soon as he impales the guy, because he kills him, or no, he doesn't.
Know
kill
what
him.
You're gonna say
he impales him, lets go of the sword, throws up his hands, like, "All right, we done here," and like walks away. And I'm just like, "Oh my god, this guy's incredible."
That blew my. I was like, that's all I need right there.
Keitel is
I'm like,
so
this
good.
this guy's an animal.
Yes,
this guy's
that's
like,
what it is. He's like a rabid animal. The way he throws his hands up and like,
that's the best. That was the best.
It's like if you took the entire Russell Crowe gladiator speech of him screaming, "Are you not entertained?" It's like if you took that entire scene and boiled it down to one gesture. That's the scene. That's the gesture. Is Harvey Keitel throwing his hands up?
It was just like throwing his hands up, kind of like he's almost like disgusted in his opponent for like not
like I could imagine a basketball player.
A little bit.
I could imagine a basketball player like shooting a perfect fucking 3-pointer and then just doing the same like ain't no thing. Like. That's like the kind of energy he has. Like I can do this all fucking day.
So that you kind of got that same vibe where he's like, oh, this guy's nothing. Like, as Dragon Ball, like beating his opponent like it was nothing. Like,
it's so good.
It was. I love that. That's kind of
my god, what a fucking great opening to this movie.
And you get like a little noise with it too. And he's right.
Oh, the sound design in the actual fights are great because like he puts in these really loud swooshes and the clangs of the swords are really loud. It's really good. Really good shit.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, here we go. We're off to it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Keith Carradine.
Yep. Keith Carradine. Where do you know him from?
I mean, most prominently, I know him and love him from Robert Altman's Nashville. He is so good in Nashville.
Okay.
But Carradine's just one of those guys who pops up in fucking everything. Like he'll have a little tiny bit role here and there. He was in Power of the Dog for like 5 seconds this year. Like he just shows up in everything all the time. Yeah. So it's like
played the dad.
Like the governor who's like the dad or whatever. Yeah.
I thought he was pretty good, and I enjoyed him in it.
I do.
He was great in Dexter. That's where I
who was he in Dexter? I didn't know he was in Dexter.
He played season 2. The FBI gets involved, and there's the Bay Harbor Butcher is starting to be investigated, and that's Dexter. So, and the FBI is tracking Dexter, and he plays the lead in season 2. He comes back, and Dexter obviously gets away. He comes back in season 4, the best season of Dexter, and is killed by none other than the Trinity Killer. Spoiler alert.
Wow. Well, great. Now I guess I don't have to watch Dexter. Thanks a lot.
Oh no, because the end of the season is one of
I'm never gonna watch Dexter. Get out of here.
Oh, it's incredible, and I gotta watch it. What?
You know how I am with TV. I'm just being a dick.
Okay, but that's where I know him. And
that's like
but I do kind of agree with you where Keith Carradine is kind of I don't know. Old, he's all right.
I like Keith Carradine.
Reliable.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's like all reliable. But I will say, if you guys haven't seen Nashville, great movie. He's fucking great in it. He is okay. Here's my dilemma with Keith Carradine in this movie. I think on paper, technically, when you're looking at the two of these guys, you're looking at Harvey Keitel, you're looking at Keith Carradine. Keith Carradine to me is perfect casting. Like I look at that, I look at the character, I go, of course you get Keith Carradine. That makes sense. Harvey Keitel makes little sense until you see him and you're like, okay, I get what he's doing. Carradine feels really flimsy in this movie. And like, there are a couple scenes I think he plays really well because he is the high status character and he has just naturally a little bit more of that regal presence than Keitel does. But overall, I think Carradine's kind of, I don't know what the word is. He's not bad. He's just sort of frail in this.
At first I said wooden, but I was like, no, he's not wooden.
Not wooden. He has this really thin California voice.
It's not boring. It's I did find the right word. Darn, it's escaping me right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I will say, towards the third act, I liked him a little more when he got throughout the movie. Spoiler alert: both these characters get promoted. And with that promotion comes that sense of regalness, as that they become generals, and it's like that does suit Carradine a little more. So I agree with that. I thought you hit that on the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially the beginning. Just this movie as a whole, it's character light. You're not getting much,
especially like Carradine is the main character.
Exactly. So you'd be expecting
Keitel. You don't spend a lot of time with aside from the duels themselves. Like he doesn't get a lot of interiority, which maybe is why his character is so much more thrilling to me, where I'm like, what is going on with this guy? And you never know.
Yeah, he plays, is it Farrow?
Farrowed, yeah.
And then Keith Carradine plays
Dubert.
I kind of drew what's the movie Leo won the Oscar for? Revenant. I kind of drew that kind of vibe a little bit.
Oh, Hardy and Leo.
Yeah, but definitely toned down and vintage, style, but that's kind of where I like Tom Hardy's kind of off the chain, kind of like a wild dog.
Yeah.
I kind of got that vibe from Harvey Keitel in this movie.
He is.
Obviously, but that's kind of where I went with that. My second note. So let's move on with the movie. The sword fight happens.
The movie is structured in a very like
Ridley Scott way.
No. I mean, maybe, but it's episodic. It's very like chaptery with like little blurs in the middle to like fill in the
last
gap.
duel, like Ridley
the
Scott,
last duel. Yeah. I mean, the last duel is fucking structured like Rashomon. That's way different. But like, I mean, it is weird that like these movies are extremely similar in like the story.
I think we're going to see more of that. That's a little.
You think that he has more like 19th century French sword fighting movies?
No, I think throughout his filmography, we're going to see, broken up with text-based chapter headers.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about like the way that this movie jumps from like, it starts with Keitel's opening duel. Then you get like a little character between the two of them. And then it's like, okay, the next big thing is the next duel that they have. And it sort of like jumps close enough to that next spot, leaves the middle sort of blank and like fills you in a little bit before and a little bit after. And then it jumps to the next one.
You get a little narrator. I just want to say this is really close to the perfect amount of narrator for me.
Okay.
Because if I don't like a lot of narrator, but this was, I thought this was just enough.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh,
I think either no narrator or way more narrator. The weird times that this narrator comes in and he has a very like National Geographic documentary voice. Like it does not sound like something you're watching from like a cinematic film. It just sounds like some guy came on and was like, and then Bonaparte was deposed in 1814. Like it comes out of nowhere for like one sentence and like,
yeah, no, I don't really agree. No, I thought it fit.
I could have done without it. Like the information that the narrator was giving you didn't need. And what part of it you might have needed, you get through context clues from the characters. Like you don't really, that narration can go. In my opinion, there's barely any of it. Just get it out of there, Ridley. You got all the information in there. Trust yourself. You're doing great. First time, you're doing great, bud. Get that out.
I honestly, I thought it fit. I thought it was just enough to get my appetite.
If it were Albert Finney doing the narration, I'd be like, all right, let's crank it up.
Tell me about the music.
Oh, okay. We are kind of jumping all over the place.
We are.
We'll get to the plot in a second.
We usually hit music at a random.
Well, let's hit music, and we can hit like the cinematography too, just to like get the technical shit out of the way.
Sure.
The music is a lot in this movie. It is very overbearing. I love it though. There's like this cool like fluty violin duet as like the main theme, and it gets stuck in my head. It's a really good theme.
It is catchy. Yeah, it is catchy.
Really good.
I was like, hey, this fits what I'm watching right now.
It fits a lot because of how like just French aristocracy is so fucking bourgeois and like over the top and loud. Like this theme is just like right at home. Yeah, the other thing I want to say about this movie in terms of the craft is it looks fucking awesome. It looks so good. He nails the cinematography just right out the gate.
Right off the gate. Film debut, and I'm just like,
look at this thing. We'll get to the final scene, which is one of the greatest looking things I've ever fucking watched.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're off. Yeah. So
we're off to the race. Well, I just want to say he cites. I already mentioned here. Ridley cites 2001 as like his moment where he's like, I need to do this for a living, and he also cites Barry Lyndon, Stanley Kubrick's similarly, just a very similar movie to this. Barry Lyndon as the stuff like what he was going for in terms of like visual like language, and it's fucking wild. Have you ever seen Barry Lyndon?
No.
Okay, great movie. Very similar to this. A lot of French dueling. Barry Lyndon is famous for having like the most groundbreaking cinematography of its time because he literally like invented cameras so that they could pick up candlelight. Like he wouldn't light. It's all natural lighting in Barry Lyndon, and that had not been done in the style that he was doing it. Where he's like, no, we're not using any lights. We're using fucking candles, and that has to be enough to light the scene. So he gets these whatever. Long story short, Barry Lyndon cost so much fucking money because he's inventing new technology. It's a 3-hour epic.
Yeah,
it's fucking Kubrick. He can do whatever he wants. And the fact that I watch The Duellists, which I think cost $1.5 million to make, and I'm like, yeah, no, this looks a lot like Barry Lyndon, is fucking really impressive that he pulled that off.
1.5 million to make, and I was trying to see how much money it brought in. I couldn't really track that.
Well, yeah, I think this movie got pretty screwed by its distributor. I think they kind of dumped it and didn't do any real campaigning or advertising for it.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's how that went. But yeah, I can pull up the numbers for this movie, see if I can.
Good luck. It wasn't as. This is an older one, and I want it because it's an older one. This is, like you said, 1977. So as you know, like obviously the craft of acting has changed from.
Absolutely.
You can tell it's evolved over the years. From you can't compare like, and now who won Best Actor last year versus who won it the second year the Oscars were out.
Acting disciplines change. They change. They come in waves of trends. They absolutely come and go. Yes.
Would you say they have gotten better?
No, I wouldn't say they've gotten better. I wouldn't say they've gotten worse. They've just gotten different. Wow, there is no box office data for The Duelists. You were right.
Yeah, I couldn't find any.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like, I can watch a movie like Power the Dog, and I'm looking at Benedict Cumberbatch, and I'm like, this guy's he's on fire. This is incredible. Right. And then I can shoot all the way back to the fucking 60s and watch The Wild Bunch, another Western, and I'm looking at Ernest Borgnine, and I'm like, this is so different and like so much more like classical, but it's also so edgy for the time. I love that. And then I could shoot even further back to the fucking 20s and watch Chaplin movies, and like he's just knocking me on my ass with how like compassionate he is towards his characters, and like it totally comes in waves the way that people act. I don't know what you would call like modern acting style. Very like people are trying to be like very
nuanced,
like natural about it. Like I think that's the big trend right now is like, yeah, just say what comes naturally to you. Don't worry about the script so much. And like that hasn't always been, the case. But I don't know.
I get that. Yeah. Well, I kind of like back in the day, I always got the vibe like read your lines, read your lines. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I got it. I personally kind of think like with almost everything, we're just getting better. Like as like whether it be faster, stronger, smarter acting, any craft, basically anything. I feel like
that's the goal,
right? And I
don't think I agree with that.
I think
that
as a majority, obviously not the majority of the species or the race.
No, I'm just saying. I think in different crafts, it's different. Like I think visual effects peaked in like the early to mid 2000s, and then they have gone violently downhill recently. Where I'm like, how is shit looking worse than it did 20 years ago? What's going on here, guys? But like, there's shit like obviously cinematography is always going to look better than it did in the past. It's always going to look more crisp. and more dynamic. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. But it's different crafts like that. But what were you getting at? Sorry.
Well, that's kind of what, obviously, they did what they could, and I was fully entertained, and I thought the performances were actually one of the strong suit for this movie. But I did, and maybe that's on me because maybe I got to just see peak older movies. But yeah, I thought they were steady performances. I thought they were good. I thought.
I can agree with that.
Keitel was good to great. Not. But he definitely didn't have anything as far as like character. Like I said, this script it wasn't built for character building. I think that's why I'm going to have a great time with Ridley Scott because obviously right off the bat we're dealing with some entertaining action like duels and just like
that's great.
That's right up my alley. So I'm already like having a good time. But yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
No, I think I agree. There's no performance in this movie that really rocks me to my core or anything like that. I think Keitel like just has like a physical presence that I find so alluring as it is. So like just seeing him do it again, I'm like, yeah, I love this. He's doing his thing and he's really good at it.
I think kind of where I was going with that was because I am attributing some of my not disdain but turned offness because it was 1977.
Yeah, I don't think that's
not a major degree, but to some degree, yeah. I
just think, I mean, you could say that, but I think that I'm just going to back you up in saying that like there aren't really any great performances in this movie. Like I think Finney fucking rocks the house, but he's only got a minute. Yeah. I don't think that this is a movie where you can like really pick out a performance.
Maybe this is the best Keith Carradine has.
No, watch Nashville. That is the best Keith Carradine. Nashville, great movie. Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I love fucking I love the style of acting that you get in a lot of 70s movies because that's when people are going buck wild with just like, American independent movies, New Hollywood movement. Like all these guys are just going crazy doing improvisational shit and like, whatever. Pacino's just fucking showing up in a movie and like just redefining what people can do. And like,
I do.
It's just, listen, Pacino, I like this movie a lot. We're talking about The Duelist. I like this movie a lot. It is set during maybe my favorite, this movie is shot during maybe my favorite period of American cinema, the 70s. And it's like, it's a good movie, but I'm not going to fucking put it up next to any of those other movies I'm talking about.
Right. Dog Day and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not Dog Day.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I know that's another thing. Pacino is obviously a couple. I would easily put him a few tiers above both of these actors.
Yeah,
when on the threshold. But
oh god.
So just to put that in perspective. So anyway, let's get back to this movie. So
there's one other thing I want to talk about really quick. I mean, it's about this movie, so whatever. We're in it.
Right.
You get I think her name's Diane Quick. She plays Laura, who's like Keith Carradine's longstanding mistress. I didn't really understand what her character was. I thought she was like a sex worker, maybe, but like it was kind of unclear to me.
I
didn't. Yeah, okay.
Is that he eventually proposes, or is that
no? He gets an arranged marriage later. That's who he marries. Like his sister sets him up with a different woman. This woman is like, she seems to work on the streets, and she has like a long-standing friendship with Keith Carradine.
Right.
And they seem mildly romantic. It's a really weird character that doesn't really go anywhere. Right. But I will say this. I want to say this about most Ridley Scott movies, and I think that you get a glint of it in this movie, is the Ridley Scott movies that I know are for the time and for who's making them, pretty feminist. Like Alien is a pretty like groundbreaking movement in terms of what kind of heroes we're seeing on screen.
#GOAT. Ellen Ripley's the GOAT.
That's what I'm saying. Like he does that second movie out. He's got Thelma and Louise, G.I. Jane, all these like female-led, even The Last Duel. Like that movie is about a woman and who's surrounded by horrible men. Like she is the protagonist of that movie. So Ridley Scott, I know him to be, I'm not saying he's like a feminist filmmaker. I'm just saying he's a little bit more
female forward.
A little female forward. Yeah. Like he doesn't seem to really distinguish between like that, which I think is an even better approach, where he's just like, no, she's the lead. Like I don't have to fucking make this a feminist statement. I'm just, this woman is who I'm fucking focusing on. Anyways, obviously
he's going to make the movie as best as he can.
Yes.
regardless of
Yeah.
he's going to make the story.
No, that's
how
why
it should
Alien
be.
is so fucking good. Is that like she just emerges naturally as the lead of that movie? Like, but we'll get to that
because
next
her
episode.
character what should have been.
Yeah.
Like is a natural born leader, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that next episode. But what I was going to say is this character of Laura, who accompanies Keith Carradine, she has this one scene that's really fucking good where she goes to this tent where Harvey Keitel is, and she essentially says, like, can you fucking leave Keith Carradine alone? Like, you are embarrassing yourself. You men are being ridiculous. And Harvey Keitel's like, well, who the fuck cares what you think? And she's like, no one cares what I think. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know, so maybe you'll fucking think about it. And it is a very good moment for like this kind of anonymous character who doesn't really do much for the movie, but it is sort of a peek into him just being like, no, this woman's going to have something to say and it's going to be important. Like, I like that moment a lot.
Yeah.
It's very minor. It's very minor.
It is very minor. So minor to the point where I didn't really care about it at all.
No, you don't care about it.
No,
you don't care. I barely remember the character's name. Like, I'm not saying
exactly.
It's like this pivotal moment in feminist movement. I'm just saying, like, I can see where the seeds that he plants here like blossom into, Ellen.
Yeah, I was so bored with any of the scenes with unfortunately the females.
Unfortunately, any of the scenes where men aren't swinging swords is a little slow.
Like, I just was not, the character development was it was not there for me.
Yeah.
The only time that I was kind of interested is when there's any sort of emotion going on, whether it be Keith Carradine like kind of being worried or like scared, or Harvey Keitel kind of like just
that's actually a really
angrily.
Good point. I didn't really pick up on that just because I was sort of entertained throughout the whole movie, but I think you are right. There's basically no character development. These characters don't have an arc in this movie. Keith Carradine starts off as sort of a privileged upper officer in the army who kind of just wants to do his duty, and that's how he ends up. And then Harvey Keitel starts off as a fucking like vindictive fighting madman, and that's also how he ends up. Like, they don't really change each other in any significant way. The movie just ends on them being essentially in the same positions that they were in the beginning.
Yeah. So
not great, but whatever.
That's fine, and that's fine for this. We're talking about a film debut here.
Yep.
Especially coming off freaking M. Night's debut.
Hey.
Like, this is holy cow.
That's something we're gonna have to track. Is there ever gonna be a worse first film?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
I don't think there will be. I think that we're going to end up picking directors who are just too good at making movies that like.
Well, we are choosing.
So let's go in order. Let's
right
talk about the debuts. Let's talk about the debuts. Our first fucking debut was Following with Christopher Nolan.
I believe I gave that 4 stars. I had a great time. And speaking of that director, if we can see the style right off the bat in the debut, yes, check that box. I saw Nolan all over that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, post season 2, Paul Thomas Anderson, Hard 8. Could you see Paul Thomas Anderson?
Yeah, Hard 8's a pretty good movie.
Maybe a little bit. I saw his style, the long shots. The dialogue off the charts right off the bat. Yes, Paul Thomas, PTA all over that movie.
Yeah.
Big check mark. Let's see. M. Night Shyamalan. Did M. Night Shyamalan have his patented style for his debut?
Nope. I think just no. And also his second movie, nope, not there. Like, it took him a couple movies to like really get what he was going. Yeah, there's nothing in Praying with Anger or that other fucking movie.
Not only, but we gotta also keep in mind.
Wide Awake.
Did he? Yeah, he found his style. Took him a couple movies. He also lost it.
Lost it, and then he was like, I gotta find a new style, I guess.
Yeah. No, M. Night. Oh, what a roller coaster in season.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking season 4. We both would say this has Ridley Scott
all over it.
Yep.
Massive, beautiful landscapes,
yep.
Really well shot action. Cinematography is gorgeous. The lighting is really like elegant. I think it's got his handprint all over it. But the thing I'm saying about Ridley Scott is his handprint changes every single movie. I just know that he has a handprint. You know what I mean? Like, Alien looks nothing like this movie.
Like, he doesn't really.
Blade Runner looks nothing like Alien.
Like, he just lightly like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
So it's vague.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's progress through this movie. So we already went through. For me, the female characters really didn't do anything.
No, they don't do anything.
Any of the characters really didn't do anything for me. The first fight, this.
No, you weren't a big fan of Dubert?
Duel. This movie is broken up into different duels.
5 duels.
There's 5. I wrote 6.
I've got 5. Did I miss one?
Let's go to it.
The opening duel with Harvey Keitel and the mayor's son.
My first comment, slick sword fight. I'm watching it, okay? My next comment, 2 fights in 10 minutes. Exclamation point.
The second fight is Keitel and Carradine's very first fight in his backyard.
It is called online the garden fight. This is the garden fight.
Oh, it's a good one too.
The first duel is with Keitel. He sticks him in the chest. This is against the mayor's son.
So
Harvey Keitel sticks the mayor's son. And then the second fight is with Keith Carradine, called the garden fight. I went ahead and I ranked
the fights.
Not ranked.
I ranked all the fights.
I rated all of them. First fight, that first fight, I said great opening, choreography, 4 out of 5.
I'm giving it 2 swords way up.
Great fight. What sold it for me was the hand gesture. Perfect. All right, second fight. I did not particularly like this. My note for it was crazy lady Machina at the end, because it ends with kind of an odd cut.
It's really weird. It is a bizarre cut.
With just
the second fight is
frantically attacking Keith Carradine in defense of her.
Cut.
I believe, was she a prostitute of Harvey Keitel?
No, I think it was Harvey Keitel's wife, wasn't it? Because they go to his house, right? I think it was Keitel's wife.
Again, these.
I know.
It's tough. If you want to get technical terms, I guess Keith Carradine did win this first initial duel between them with a little slice on the wrist, and I think Keitel got knocked out. He fell back and hit his head.
Hit his head. Yeah.
But
Keitel takes the first duel.
Yeah.
Not Keitel. Sorry, Carradine takes the first duel.
Dubar and 1-0. Yeah, 1-0. My third comment.
Can we just talk about the duels? The rest of this movie fucking isn't
my third comment. Turns out this whole movie is fights.
Yeah.
So it started.
These guys can't stop dueling. They just can't get enough of dueling each other. And it's great because Keitel keeps going after Carradine because he's pissed off that Carradine tried to arrest him, which is just his fucking job. And the rest of the movie,
don't get started about the reason why Keitel wants to duel.
It makes no sense.
Just the most petty. He's clearly just wants the duel. He's looking for any of the small.
And Carradine has that great line where he's like, "You make dueling sound like it's a fucking pastime of yours. Like, do you just duel all the time?"
Right.
Turns out, yes, that's all he does.
The reason behind this whole the movie is broken up into different time periods. 8 months here, a few years here. Yeah. That's just how it's
over the course of like 15 to 20 years.
Right, 15.
These guys just keep dueling.
And the reason why all these duels keep happening is because most of the time, I think almost all the time, Keitel challenged them. And back in the day, if you got challenged to a duel, you had to duel. You had to duel. You had to bust out your shiny, unroll the cloth pistols. You just had to. It's
slap him in the face with the fucking glove.
Oh yeah, don't slap me in the face. We're dueling. You do that.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because Keitel's character, Thoreau, that wasn't that good, was a Bonapartist. This was the time of Napoleon.
Right.
And he believed that Duber wasn't as loyal to Napoleon.
I don't even think that's how it started, though.
I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
You're like, why is he mad at it?
Basically, they shouldn't have dueled at all. And Keitel is a big bully.
Keitel stabbed the mayor's son. The mayor then demands that he gets arrested and thrown into his quarters.
Not even arrest. House arrest. Don't even put me in quarters. I don't even got to go to jail. I just got to stay home.
Carradine is the officer in charge of arresting him. He's literally just ordered to go arrest Keitel. Keitel then goes, "Fuck you. We're dueling."
There's no cuffs or anything. It's basically just walking me home. That's all.
Carradine's like, "Hey, sorry to do this, bud. Business is business. I have to arrest you because you got in a duel." And Keitel takes this as the most insulting thing anyone's ever done.
He's like, "Leave."
He's like, "Leave. We're fucking fighting.
Go in the hall because I'm about to challenge this dude to a duel."
It's so crazy. And then the thing is, Keitel holds this grudge because in this first duel, Carradine cuts him. He loses, right? He loses this first duel. So then Keitel, for the rest of his life, wants to fucking regain his honor or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly. And Carradine the funny thing about Carradine's character to me is at no point does he want to duel. He never wants to duel. Every time Keitel shows up, he's like ducking his head. He's like, oh God, this fucking guy again. But he keeps dueling because it's his honor.
Does he know how it started? At one point they ask him like, well, what is it? Why did this all start? And he's like, you got to ask him. Like,
he literally does not ever really understand why Keitel wants to kill him so bad.
Have happened. Keitel's a bully. That's all I was getting at. But yeah, my third comment, I was like, oh, okay, we're in the. It was just how fast the 3 fights, like boom, boom, boom. I'm like,
it's so quick. I know.
Yeah.
Oh right, no, there is 6. You're right. I got to re-rank because you're right. I forgot about that one.
Well, about this third fight,
the second fight, Carradine wins, cuts him across the arm. Keitel gets knocked out. Carradine's got the upper hand. He's got 1 win.
Yep. This third one is called, I believe it's the field fight, because you walk up and there's it's a long shot too. Of these.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I want to rank these.
Okay.
I can edit all this out.
Well, spoiler alert for this third fight, I gave it a 2 out of 5. And I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, fuck this. This is now just us ranking all of the duels. We're not talking about the movie anymore. We have talked about what the movie is about.
This is the movie. And
the movie is about 2 men dueling over 15 years. That's it. Like during the rise and fall of Bonaparte as the ruler of France. That's all the movie is about. And all that shit's happening in the background. You don't see Bonaparte in this movie. Like, no,
I guess there was some like kind of mention of wars in the backdrop a little bit.
Yeah, but you don't ever see
at the end of the second act. There's the Hassics, I believe is it the Austrian Hassics?
Yeah, something like that.
There's a little bit that they get to at the end of the second act that interrupts one of their duels, because there is a little battle taking place, but it's very, very light. The best thing about that scene, honestly, is the fact that I'm a sucker for any like seasonal effects, weather effects, and that's the outdoor with the wind and the snow, and it was pretty cool. And you get that whole thing
where he shoots that Russian guy.
Yeah.
And
you do get the initial is that him from across the fire kind of look is prolonged. Like, so there's a few things that
happening. I love the scene where they're in the bar and fucking Dubert knows that Ferrot is there and he's trying to leave, and then Ferrot sees him and he's like, see you outside, motherfucker. So he immediately calls him. I think in that scene Ferrot stands up and they see each other, and I'm pretty sure Ferrot holds up the number 3 because he's like, we're gonna go for a third time, and like that's the end of that scene. It's great.
Yeah, well,
Keitel's so good.
Dubert is like talking to his buddies, and his buddy's like, "Oh, there's Ferrot." He's like, "All right," like, and it basically, like, it translated like, "All right, don't say anything. I'm gonna try to."
He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna duck out of here."
Yeah, and as soon as he stands up, so he gets spotted by Ferrot's number 2.
So petty, these men. All right. So we've already done the opening duel, which is a masterpiece. We've done the second duel in the garden, which is a little bit sloppier, not so exciting, but I kind of like a sloppy little fight. Now the third duel is a really quick one in a field.
Yep. Long setup. I appreciate the setup more than I appreciate the duel, because
the duel's over with quick.
It's very quick. It's, I almost feel like Dubert mailed it in almost. He wasn't prepared.
His heart wasn't in it.
He was overconfident. He had already won the first one.
Ferrot comes in and fucking pierces him in the chest. Gets him good.
Gets him in the chest. Dubert, you get this cool. He takes, I love it. It takes like 3 or 4 steps and then sinks to his knees.
Yeah.
And then it goes in, and their attendants are kind of pulling back his shirt, and you see it the whole time. You see Ferrot, Harvey Keitel, just like kind of looking over their shoulders, just like, you get up. He's trying to hand him the sword at one point. Like,
oh, that's so good.
Oh, I love it.
You know what? That's what is that what Harvey Keitel is doing
too? He's mad.
Is Keitel playing this character as if he were a boxer who just wants to keep fighting his opponent?
A hungry animal.
Yeah, he's just like an MMA fighter who's like, no, he's not knocked out. Get him back up. Here's his mouthpiece. Get him back up. Like, that's like what he is. It's great.
It's such a behavioral acting, like
all physical.
All physical. He nails it. Because obviously he can't do it with the dialogue. But yeah, my note was walk up and setup was very nice, over quick. 2 out of 5 though, because of the length. because Dubert just
short.
was unprepared.
Dubert weak.
Yep.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite of the duels. So much so that I forgot that it existed. Okay.
I got
Next
a couple
duel.
little side ones in here. I already said this a gazillion times. This is when I wrote it down. Visually beautiful. I kept seeing this. It's almost like I'm looking at. There's a couple shots where I'm like, that looks like a freaking painting right there.
This movie is very painterly.
Like,
it
wow,
looks so good.
Just
yeah.
For 77, I was like, this is so freaking Ridley Scott. The next note, third act really shines.
Third act's really exciting.
I had a good time. So entering the third act, this is our fourth fight. This is I believe
this is the
cellar duel.
The saber duel.
This is sabers. Yeah, this is with sabers.
Now this is a good one, I think.
Well, we don't get it all. We don't.
No,
get
we
it
don't.
All. We're
Which I think
thrown
is smart.
into, we're thrown in about, I'd say about 90% of the way through this duel. These guys
we're in like round 8
bloody
right now. Yeah.
They're cut up, sliced up, spent. Energy is low. Like
I like this.
They're sloppy.
They're so sloppy. They're both covered in cuts and blood. Their clothes are all torn up. They're basically using their sabers as walking sticks to get close to each other before they just lob their sword up in the air and just clang. I like this dirty.
I said my ugly. I wish I saw more.
Yeah, I'm glad he kind of cuts halfway through, because it's sort of like the implication of the rest of the fight. We're getting a lot of fighting in this movie. You don't need every fight to go from start to finish, and I like just like the artistic choice of saying like, nah, this one's going to end in a stalemate, and we know why. It's because they're fucking exhausted in this one.
I love the ending of this fight because I do like that they tied. But I wish I saw more, because this movie, only 100 minutes?
It's like an hour and 40, yeah.
Hour and 40 minutes? Now, I mean, what was the last duel? 3 hours? Like,
no, it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
But you get what I'm saying. Like, now he's not afraid to go there, but obviously it was his debut.
Yeah.
If this was made nowadays, we'd be seeing this.
This thing
fight.
would be 3 hours long. Absolutely.
We'd be seeing this epic fight.
Yes.
So yeah, we're throwing in. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I think it's a good fight.
But I wish I saw more. All right, moving on.
Next fight. Next duel. The fucking horse duel.
The freaking horse duel.
Okay. This is awesome. This is my shit. This is such a good fight. So the other thing we haven't really mentioned, which we're sort of like alluding to, every one of these fights is fought with different weapons, which I think is so fascinating. Like,
awesome.
Like, it starts off with like short swords, then it goes to like rapiers, then it goes to sabers. Now we're doing a cavalry fight because they were like, we wanted to honor the cavalry. Dueling pistols, yeah, which is so cool that they just go all the way out. This fight rules. It's really quick. It's obviously just one slice. That's it, right?
Well, so that's the thing about horseback duels. Like, most of the time, and you could tell, but the person usually dies when it's on horseback.
Yeah,
most of the time. That's why each of these fights not only are their weapons changed, but they progressively get more violent and damaging to the opponent. To the point where, the last thing is guns, obviously.
Yes. But
that's why leading into this fourth fight or this fifth fight,
it's their fourth fight.
It's their fifth total for the movie. Yeah. But Keith Carradine, like, it's again behavioral, physical. You see him like scared at this point in the movie. Like, he thinks he's going to die. He doesn't even tell his.
He says, like, I don't have this kind of fucking fight in me, man. Like, I'm not going to make it through this.
No, it's horseback. This is the next. Each tier is a multiplier of the previous tier. Like, you die. That's why the injury that happens after this duel is so brutal. It's the brutalest injury in the entire movie.
It's okay. So this is how the fucking scene plays out. Keith Carradine does not think he's coming back. He's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have this. Like, this guy's got way more fucking energy than I do. I'm not going to make it through this. So the way that the scene is built is like,
it's fighting him for years.
It's crazy. The way that this scene is built is it's sort of leading you to believe that Carradine is going to either flub it or he's going to lose. And like, of course, Keitel's just in the background fucking strutting around. He's a badass. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He has all the confidence in the world in himself. Carradine is basically the central point of this fight, and the camera's fixed on him while he's riding towards Keitel. And there's this awesome series of edits where like it is a one clip flashback to like their previous fights. So you can see Carradine is like going through his past fights with Keitel in his head as he's like charging towards Keitel. I like that it cuts to one like quick scene of Keitel thrusting where he's like, ha. So like it was like part of the edit where it's like,
yeah,
that's really good.
We didn't even mention between that ugly cellar fight, Carradine's character Dubert took fencing lessons, and I think that's why they ended up having that stalemate, that draw.
Right, that's right. He was taking lessons with that guy because he's like, I gotta fucking get better at this shit so I don't die.
He had to level up. He had to train. He had to level up.
I forgot about that,
and he did. So, but yeah, now we're in this horse scene. This horse scene is one and done. It's not the one before it was long, drawn out, ugly, brutal. Stalemate. This is one swipe done as these horses are going after each other.
So Carradine musters up the strength the last second as he's fucking reliving the past fights with this dude, and he cuts him right in the fucking forehead.
The fight is over because
it's over. Blood is pouring into his eyes. He can't see.
Can't see.
Fight's over.
Done. Then you get this epic celebratory ride off by Dubert. He jumps over like, what is it, a hedge or something?
Yeah, he jumps over like a fucking bale of hay.
It's a celebratory leap.
The only part of the movie where I was like, okay, this music's a lot. Like, this is too much. The music was like,
no, that's when it had me the most.
I was like, is this the fucking Ren Fair? What's going on with this music?
I think that's when I was like, oh, I was having a great time.
I also haven't mentioned, like I already mentioned, I think the theme for this movie is really good. It's not like the most creative thing in the world, but every time something serious happens in a fight, like right before Carradine hits him in the head, or right before Keitel stabs him in the chest, this horror music starts. Like the strings swell up in this really eerie, it sounds like it's a horror movie, like right before like something really bad. It's really, really good. So anyways, Carradine gets the win on this one.
Is that out of place?
No, it's a little out of place, but I think it works for me at least. Like it doesn't sound like the rest of the score. It sets me on edge.
Mentioned that when I said that the music fit, I want to say I felt like 90% of it fit. There were some parts when I was like, oh, it's. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
A lot of soundtrack.
Yeah, so now we're on to the celebratory. There was that large time gap where you see Dubert like kind of off. I think at this point he's a brigadier general. There's a pretty cool. There's a bunch of old gentleman rules, like two soldiers of different ranks can't duel each other. So like there was these long periods of time where they couldn't duel because one of them was a different rank.
Yeah.
I think at one point when Dubert finds out the Ferreau got promoted, he's like, oh shit. That means
because you find out Dubert is a captain, and then he asks his friend, like, oh, did Ferreau get promoted? And he's like, yeah, Ferreau's a captain now. And I think he actually goes like, damn it. He's literally fuck, now we have to fight.
Because it's only a matter of time before
it's so good. He's just chasing him this whole time.
What happens as
they go to war in Russia, and there's this really cool scene where Keitel and Carradine go out into like the wilderness together as soldiers in arms.
The tours.
Yeah, and Keitel kills a Russian guy, and Carradine makes a joke where he goes, next time we'll do it with pistols, which is exactly what happens.
Yep. So near the end of the movie, Carradine
gets married.
He gets married. He gets approached by a couple of Ferreau's boys.
Yeah.
And
right.
Because
Ferreau. Hold on.
They discuss the terms.
Wait, hold on. At this point in the movie, Bonaparte has been deposed, and I want to talk about the Albert Finney scene. So Carradine goes to Albert Finney, who is essentially in charge of executions, because Keitel is on this death list because he was such a Bonapartite. So Carradine's like, hey, listen, like, he's not going to fucking hurt anybody. Take him off the list. I don't want anyone to know that I helped him. Just take him off the list, which is very honorable of him. Like, he obviously feels connected to this man, even if it is just through violence. But it's I don't know. It's just like hubris, foolishness, and like way too much kindness.
I like the gesture.
Yeah.
I didn't like that he didn't let Keitel know about it so he could back the fuck
up. No.
I know
because then he would have been holding that over his head, and it would have been would have fucked with his honor.
The gesture, you weaken what you did and all that. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he wouldn't keep coming and trying to kill him.
Yeah.
So it's the scales. What you're weighing what's going to happen in here, and you let him know, hey, I just saved your life. Back off. So
well, that would have been the end of the movie, and we wouldn't have gotten this great final gun duel.
Sure.
So Carradine goes to fucking Albert Finney Albert Finney rocks the fucking house. He just like throws straight heat for like 20 seconds. Just pure gravitas. Oh, he's so fucking good. And I mean, yeah, let's fast forward to the gun duel. So yeah, Harvey Keitel is essentially in exile. Like he's not allowed to like leave a certain district because he's on a watch list because he was a Bonaparte supporter. So they have to like sneak him over to Carradine's region. And they agree to do this gun duel where each of them gets 2 pistols with 1 bullet each. They are only allowed to shoot 2 bullets total. And the game is like, okay, we each go into the woods on either side. We have to hunt each other down and we each get 2 shots and that's it.
Well, you're not doing justice to the setting. Not only
I have not gotten into the fucking setting.
The wood, it's not.
There are these French
like
ruins. And they are all, none of that is sets. That is all shot on location. Those are actual like unrestored ruins in this region. And he just shoots it on location and it looks so good.
Yeah, gorgeous.
It looks like a different world. Like it really looks like they're in some sort of medieval fantasy.
It's a little misty.
Yes, it's so good. This scene is incredible.
I don't want to say cat and mouse, but it kind of
it is
like one of them's going down, and there's shot after shot of them walking through these landscapes, and
it's great.
They're both holding up their guns, and it's tense. It's tense too because they're getting ready to shoot each other. So I mean, the stakes are already there. Like you don't need to have the characters and the guns with how beautiful the shots look, but the fact that they're there just makes it. Oh man, everything is firing on all cylinders. The movie is just it's clicking big time for me right now. I'm having a great time. It's pretty long too. I think this
goes on for a while,
at least like 8 minutes or so.
I would say, right around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Keitel. There's this great scene where like Keitel is on this like ridge and Carradine is above him on like a cliff, and neither of them see each other.
This is after the first shot.
No, we haven't done the first shot yet.
Oh, okay. Because the whole when Carradine is sitting against that wall, that old ruin wall, and he kind of he's getting his legs all situated, and it's all he's trying not to slip because like I said, it's misty and you'd assume the grass is slick or whatnot, and he's kind of propping himself up. He has this look over his face where he's just taking a breath, and as soon as you're taking this whole moment in with him. It's a good long moment. I'm really having and then he leans up, right? He just looks over the ridge a little bit, and then
boom,
that was the first gunshot.
Yeah, that was the first gunshot.
Yeah, that was one. Farrow has now used one of his 2.
Yep. And Dubert falls down. We see his like his feet hanging over the ledge.
The next I don't know, a little bit we're looking from Farrow's POV.
Yep.
And not so much, his POV, but we're watching what he's doing. He's looking, and he's looking, creeps up nice and slow.
This is how you know he's a pro.
He wants to take his time. He's saving his 1 bullet.
Yep. And he waits for, like, he's looking at fucking Dubert's feet, and he's like, he looks at Dubert's feet for a while, waiting for them to move. And then at one moment, his foot does move, and he still doesn't go after him. He still is like, I'm going to wait a couple more seconds here. Let's see. It's good stuff. Like I love this moment. It's
really good stuff. Yeah. Eventually he does creep up, and what do they, at this point, they fire at the same time?
They fire like more or less at the same time, but Farrow uses his last bullet and misses. Well, and Dubert still has 1 bullet left.
That's the big thing, is because they both Dubert gets Farrow to fire his second shot, uses it. I don't know if both of them miss.
Yes. I don't think Dubert wanted to kill him. I think obviously he doesn't want to kill him. He wanted him off the kill list, and when he comes to fucking fight him, he has 1 bullet left. He can execute him right now. It's fair game, and he chooses not to.
Yeah, I think if it got ugly enough, Dubert
he would have.
But you do get a sense that he's good natured enough to where he doesn't want to actually kill this guy.
Right.
Even though at this point now he has 1 bullet, and he can free himself from this maniac.
Well, he does. He does free himself. He says, "Listen, your life is now in my fucking hands. I could choose to kill you. I'm not going to, which means you owe me your life. And please leave me the fuck alone." I love that this movie ends with him being like, "Can you please leave me alone? I want you to basically act like you're dead. I don't want to know that you're alive. Just go away."
Okay,
It's so good.
You're undercutting.
I am undercutting the poetic nature
is,
of it.
This is the best dialogue in the whole movie.
Yeah, probably. I probably agree with that.
And he's like, he says, you owe your life to me. You must live your life as a dead man.
Yeah.
Or something. Like it's an epic line.
It's a really good line.
You know,
he basically says, like, yeah, I want you to now exist as a dead man. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you're alive. No one can know this. Like, it's a really good line, but it does all boil down to him just being like, please leave me the fuck alone, please. Like, well, I love it. I love it.
In the message, though, I believe he kind of says you're not allowed to duel anymore. So
I mean, he might as well kill himself.
All he knows how to do is duel. That's why that last bit you're left with that. First, it's a cliffhanger because you see Dubert walk up, and his number two, Farrell's number two, is like, is he dead? And you don't get an answer. You just see Dubert like hastily wrapping up the pistols. And this, I gotta say, I watched this movie in two parts. I fell asleep the first part. I didn't see the result of the pistol duel until the next day. So I had a day to kind of predict and think about how I thought this movie was going to finish. Okay. And this was a great movie to do that because it's a freaking duel. Yeah. It's like I kind of got to review what these characters' mindsets were throughout this movie and whatnot. So, well, needless to say, I was wrong. I had no clue it was going to end with Dubert having one shot left. And instead of killing him, he basically turned him into like a dead man, a living dead man, because now he's not allowed to do the thing that he loves. He basically
pulls Aang at the end of The Last Airbender, where he takes the Fire Lord's bending away.
Right. He's not allowed to do the one thing that he loves to do. Yeah. And when you see Farrell's number two walk up, or when we catch up with Farrell, he's just so walking, sulking.
He's
solemnly strolling through these ruins, kind of a metaphor for how he feels inside. He's ruined.
It's a beautiful shot.
The culmination of all these years of dueling and everything. And the final shot, we're walking up with Farrell. And this is the bread and butter. This is literally, I forgot I was watching a movie and not looking at a freaking oh my god, this
I know exactly.
In a museum.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm not saying this is the most beautiful thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. I have never in my life seen, I'm not even gonna say like a shot from a movie, just I've never seen this image before. It's one of the most like ravishing looking things I've ever seen, because like, and I can't even imagine the timing that it took for them to get this shot. Was it just the weather was perfect that day and Scott was like, we got to get this footage? But it's Dubert standing up essentially on like a hilltop overlooking these woods, and you can see a mountain in the background. And from basically,
is he on a cliff?
I don't even know. It's beautiful.
Overlooking this river stream.
But the thing, yes,
wooded area.
And you see this mountain in the back, like this mountain range.
Is there a freaking sunset?
But okay, it's not a sunset. This is what I'm getting to. It's not a sunset. What you're seeing, I guess it is technically a sunset, but it looks like a reverse sunrise, because what you're seeing is, for 75% of the sky is gray and cloudy, and the sun is setting, but it's only setting below the clouds, and it has not yet gone below the horizon. So you're seeing the bottom half of the sun peeking down from the clouds as it's heading down towards the mountain. Like, and I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's one of the most insane shots I've ever fucking seen. It's one of the scenes where I'm like, how are movies made? How did he?
No, it literally, I can't, for anyone listening, this is 1977. I didn't know movies looked this beautiful back then. It was the most gorgeous landscape shot that Ridley was able to get. So, and this, not only that, it was the closing shot of the movie right before it faded to black. And not only that, it was made like you could take Keitel out of the frame and I would have, my jaw would be on the floor because of how beautiful it was. It was made that much better by him not saying a word and just standing there thinking about
what a good ending.
Bang, nailed that.
I gotta say, I'm bumping my fucking rating of this movie up a half star.
That's fine.
I've had such a good time talking about it, and now I hold it in even higher esteem. I think this movie's so good.
Well, no, that's the thing. I'm a sucker for a good ending, like that closing shot. Like if you can leave me on a good note,
it's a stunner.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's since we've talked about all the fights, we finished this movie. We've talked about everything we wanted to kind of touch on. Let's talk about a little bonus things. Who is your favorite character?
Oh, fucking Thoreau all day.
Okay. Hey, my switch to Dubert. I was not I was.
You like Dubert?
That first 80% of that movie, I was on. Like I said, I didn't have my socks blown off by either character, but I was probably enjoying Thoreau a little more. Keitel's acting a little more, that angry, whatever. It was just more fun. But the third act and the fact that Dubert set was like that final result of that duel where he just was like, no, you're a dead man. And I was just like, no, that moved Dubert up there. I was like, wow, that's
right. Well,
that's a stone cold move.
You're hashtag team Dubert and I'm hashtag team Thoreau.
Any listeners?
It's like
there?
Edward and Jacob.
Yeah. Let us know what team you're on, Thoreau or Dubert.
Oh yes.
I think we're ready. Are we ready to rate it?
Yeah, I'm ready to rate it. I had a fucking great time talking about the Duelists. What a good movie.
Since we already talked about our the other directors we've covered debuts.
Yep.
I did give Following 4 stars. I believe I gave Hard 8 4 stars. I believe
I think Praying with Anger, I think you gave 4.5 stars, right?
Oh, I thought it was a 5-star movie. No, I gave Praying with Anger the lowest grade possible, half star. I freaking hated it. I thought it was a dumpster fire. With that being said, I am giving Ridley Scott's debut 4 stars.
Me too, 4 stars. I had it at 3.5, but then I talked about it for like 2 hours, and now I like it even more.
This movie would have been higher if what he is doing nowadays, if there was more character
he would
development.
Crush this. Yeah. He did. He just did The Last Duel. What a great
The
movie
Last Duel is a perfect example because he makes it a point to that is a character driven movie.
Yep.
Like that's almost on the other side of this movie. Whereas this movie is very action duel oriented.
Yep.
That movie is very dialogue character driven with some duel touched in there.
Some great action. Yeah.
So that's kind of the where my head was at. Is impressive. If
I enjoy all of his movies half as much as I enjoyed watching The Duelists, I'm gonna have a great time doing this.
We're gonna have a great time. Yeah,
what a good start to this series.
I'm even more excited than I was before.
Yes.
So, what do we got coming up next?
Oh, just some little like independent sci-fi movie called Alien. I don't know.
Oh, just a little Alien. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see it. I wonder what it's about.
Well,
I'll be watching it for the first time.
Bullshit. You fucking worship at the altar of Alien.
No, it might be triple digits for this movie, honestly. This was this and Aliens, its sequel, was probably my most watched movie growing up. Just every single night going to bed before I would fall asleep, I would always put a movie on, and this VHS got burnt out pretty good.
What a weird fucking movie to fall asleep to.
Because the xenomorph is one of the greatest creatures. You know what?
We're gonna get into it.
Into it.
I'm excited to talk about Alien. A pretty good movie. So I don't know how to tee it up anymore for you. It's Alien.
That's
folks.
Fine.
You've heard of it.
Very excited. Had a great time with the Duelists. Thank you everyone for listening. Comment, review us. We'll read the review on the air. That's all I got.
Same here, dude. It's all I got. I had a great time. Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys watch The Duelists. It fucks.
Where can they it does fuck. Where can they find us at?
We're on Twitter at film_school_pod and on Instagram at film school dropouts pod. Also on Facebook, although I have been negligent in my duties to promote the show. We'll see you next time. We'll probably do Alien relatively quick because I'm assuming Brent is going to like sign off and watch it like right now. No way. Actually, he started it 15 minutes ago. I see. Okay, got it.
Oh, there's the Nostromo.
The Nostromo. All right, folks.
All
thanks
right.
for listening. We'll see you next episode.
See ya.